Marcus Wellington III pulled his hand away like she carried plague. "I don't shake hands with the help," he announced to 300 charity gala guests. The ballroom at Manhattan's Plaza Hotel fell silent. Crystal chandeliers cast sharp shadows across shocked faces. Dr. Amara Singh stood frozen, her extended hand hanging in the air like evidence of his cruelty. Marcus stepped backward theatrically. He reached into his jacket pocket, withdrew a small bottle of hand sanitizer, and made a show of cleaning his palms. The gesture cut deeper than his words. "Someone please explain," he continued, his voice carrying across the marble floors, "why kitchen staff are approaching major donors." 300 phones lifted simultaneously. The live stream chat exploded. Charity Gala shame began trending within seconds. Have you ever been judged by your appearance in a room where you belonged more than anyone else? These real-life stories happen daily, but this touching story among black stories would become legendary, Dr. Amara Singh had rushed straight from a 14-hour surgery. The 8-year-old patient with the brain tumor was stable now, sleeping peacefully in pediatric ICU. She'd changed from scrubs into the simple black dress she kept in her office, applied minimal makeup, and arrived at the annual Children's Hospital Charity Gala by 10:30 p.m. The event coordinator, Jessica Chen, had personally requested her attendance. "The Wellington Foundation is finalizing their largest commitment ever," Jessica had explained. $4.2 billion over 5 years. They specifically want to meet our chief of neurosurgery. Now Marcus Wellington III, tech billionaire and self-proclaimed disruptive philanthropist, was treating her like hired help. "Security protocols exist for a reason," Marcus declared, loud enough for nearby donors to hear. His wife, Patricia Wellington, touched his arm gently. He shrugged her off. The live stream operator, a young man named David Kim, kept his camera focused on the unfolding drama. His viewer count climbed rapidly. 5,000, 8,000, 12,000 people watching in real time. "Sir," Dr. Singh said calmly, "I believe there's been a misunderstanding." Marcus laughed sharply. "The only misunderstanding is how someone from catering ended up in the VIP section." He gestured toward her simple attire. "This is a $5,000 a plate event, not a job fair." Dr. Singh's purse lay open on the nearby cocktail table. Inside, barely visible, was a first-class Emirates boarding pass from her recent medical conference in Dubai. Her hospital VIP badge, identifying her as chief of neurosurgery, was tucked beneath her phone. The crowd began to murmur. Some donors looked uncomfortable. Others pulled out phones to record their own videos. Marcus seemed energized by the attention. "This is exactly what's wrong with society today," he continued. "No respect for boundaries, no understanding of appropriate behavior." Patricia Wellington's face flushed with embarrassment. She whispered urgently in her husband's ear, but he waved her away dismissively. The event coordinator appeared at Marcus's elbow. Jessica Chen looked mortified. "Mr. Wellington, perhaps we should—" "Perhaps," Marcus interrupted. "You should explain why your staff are disrupting my evening." Jessica's mouth opened and closed without sound. She recognized Dr. Singh but seemed paralyzed by the social dynamics unfolding. Hotel security emerged from the crowd. 2 large men in dark suits flanked Dr. Singh. The lead security guard, a man named Robert Torres, spoke quietly. "Ma'am, we're going to need you to come with us." Dr. Singh checked her watch. 10:47 p.m. The event ended at 11 o'clock p.m. sharp. 13 minutes remained before the media circus would explode beyond any hope of containment. The live stream chat was moving too fast to read. Phrases like entitled billionaire and racist discrimination flashed past David Kim's screen. He'd gained 25,000 viewers in 8 minutes. "I don't want to cause a scene," Dr. Singh said, her voice steady despite the humiliation burning in her chest. Marcus snorted. "Too late for that. You've already disrupted my entire evening." Dr. Singh's phone buzzed constantly in her purse. Text messages and missed calls poured in from colleagues who were watching the live stream. She ignored them all. The crowd parted as security prepared to escort her toward the exit. Patricia Wellington looked stricken. Several donors whispered among themselves, clearly uncomfortable with Marcus's behavior. Some people, Marcus announced to no one in particular, need to learn their place. The words hung in the air like a toxic cloud. Even his supporters looked shocked by the naked cruelty of the statement. Dr. Singh reached for her purse with surgical precision. Her movements were calm, deliberate. She'd spent 2 decades training her hands to remain steady under pressure. Brain surgery required absolute control, even when everything around you was chaos. Inside her purse, beneath the Emirates boarding pass and hospital badge, lay a leather portfolio. Within that portfolio were documents that would change everything. But not yet. Not until the moment was exactly right. The security guard's hand hovered near her elbow. "Ma'am?" "One moment," Dr. Singh said quietly. She looked directly at Marcus Wellington III. His face was flushed with righteous indignation. His eyes held the casual cruelty of someone who'd never faced real consequences for his actions. "Mr. Wellington," she said, her voice carrying the same quiet authority she used in operating rooms. "I believe we have a meeting scheduled for Monday morning." Marcus blinked. Something in her tone made him pause. Dr. Singh continued. 9 a.m. to finalize your foundation's commitment to our children's wing." The color began to drain from Marcus's face. Patricia Wellington gasped audibly. Around them, phones continued recording. The live stream audience had swelled to over 50,000 viewers. #CharityGalaShame was trending nationally. But the real show was just beginning. Marcus Wellington III's face cycled through confusion, recognition, and mounting panic. His wife grabbed his arm with both hands. "Marcus," Patricia whispered urgently, "that's Dr. Singh, the neurosurgeon, the one we're meeting Monday." But Marcus had already committed to his performance. Backing down now would mean admitting error in front of hundreds of witnesses and thousands of live stream viewers. "I don't know what game you're playing," he said, his voice rising, "but impersonating medical professionals is a serious crime." The hotel manager, Thomas Richardson, materialized beside the security guards. He'd been monitoring the situation from across the ballroom, watching his establishment's reputation crumble in real time. "Ma'am," Richardson said smoothly, "perhaps we can resolve this misunderstanding privately. My office is just—" "There's no misunderstanding," Marcus interrupted. "This woman crashed our event and is now making fraudulent claims about her identity." Dr. Singh remained perfectly still. Her years of surgical training had taught her that the most crucial moments required absolute calm. Move too quickly, speak too soon, and everything could fall apart. The live stream audience exploded past 100,000 viewers. David Kim's hands shook as he held his phone steady. He'd stumbled onto the story of the year. Additional hotel security arrived, creating a loose circle around the confrontation. The other gala guests pressed closer, drawn by the spectacle. "Sir," Security Chief Torres said to Marcus, "hotel policy requires us to handle this discreetly." Marcus laughed harshly. "Discreetly? She made this public by approaching me inappropriately. Now she's claiming to be some kind of doctor." Dr. Singh's phone continued buzzing. Among the incoming messages, one stood out. A text from Dr. Elizabeth Carter, the hospital's CEO, who was somewhere in this very crowd. "I see what's happening. Stay calm. We've got your back." But Dr. Singh couldn't see Dr. Carter in the sea of faces. She was effectively alone, surrounded by people who were treating her like an intruder in her own fundraising event. "Mr. Wellington," she said again, maintaining her professional composure, "I performed a 14-hour surgery this afternoon on an 8-year-old girl with a brain tumor. The procedure was successful. The child is stable." Marcus's eyes narrowed. Anyone can make up medical details. "The tumor was a grade 2 astrocytoma," Dr. Singh continued, her voice steady, "located in the left temporal lobe. We achieved gross total resection with preservation of language function." Patricia Wellington's face went white. She'd done enough charity work with children's hospitals to recognize authentic medical terminology. The hotel manager looked increasingly uncomfortable. "Ma'am, do you have identification?" Dr. Singh reached slowly into her purse. The security guards tensed, as if she might produce a weapon instead of a wallet. She withdrew her hospital ID badge. Chief of Neurosurgery, Dr. Amara Singh, MD, PhD. The photo was unmistakably her. Thomas Richardson examined the badge carefully. His expression shifted from suspicion to horror as he realized the magnitude of the situation unfolding in his ballroom. "This appears to be authentic," he said quietly. Marcus snatched the badge from Richardson's hands. "Fake IDs are easy to manufacture. Anyone with a printer and laminator could make this." The live stream chat was moving so fast it became a blur of outrage. Hashtags proliferated. #Billionaire shame, #charity scandal, #racism exposed. Local news stations were already dispatching camera crews. Dr. Singh checked her watch again, 10:54 p.m. 6 minutes until the event's scheduled end. The window for damage control was closing rapidly. "Security needs to remove this woman immediately," Marcus declared. "She's clearly disturbed." The security guards looked confused. Their training covered drunk guests and gatecrashers, not potential misidentification of the hospital's chief surgeon. Dr. Singh's surgical bag sat on a nearby chair. Inside were documents that could end this nightmare immediately. But she held back, watching Marcus dig himself deeper into an impossible position. Patricia Wellington pulled her husband aside. "Marcus, what if she's telling the truth?" "She's not," Marcus hissed. "Look at her. Does she look like a chief of surgery to you?" The comment was captured by multiple recording devices. The racial implications weren't subtle. Among the crowd, Dr. Elizabeth Carter finally pushed through to the front. She was a tall woman in her 60s with silver hair and an unmistakable presence. As the hospital's CEO, she commanded respect in medical and philanthropic circles. "There seems to be some confusion here," Dr. Carter announced, her voice cutting through the murmur of conversations. Marcus turned toward her, relieved to see a familiar face. "Elizabeth, thank God. This woman is impersonating one of your doctors, Doctor." Carter looked at Dr. Singh, then back at Marcus. Her expression was carefully neutral, but her eyes held a dangerous glint. "Mr. Wellington," Dr. Carter said slowly, "I'd like you to meet Dr. Amara Singh. She's not only our chief of neurosurgery, but also a voting member of our hospital board." The silence that followed was absolute. Even the live stream chat seemed to pause in collective shock. Marcus's face went through several color changes, red to white to gray. His mouth opened and closed without producing sound. "Furthermore," Dr. Carter continued, "Dr. Singh is scheduled to present the final review of your foundation's commitment proposal at Monday's board meeting." The security guards stepped back. Hotel staff began melting away into the crowd. The live stream audience swelled past 200,000 viewers. Marcus looked around wildly, as if seeking an escape route from the trap he'd built for himself. He began, then stopped. Dr. Singh remained silent, watching him process the full scope of his mistake. She'd learned in surgery that sometimes the best intervention was simply allowing the natural consequences to unfold. Patricia Wellington covered her face with her hands. The Wellington Foundation's largest charitable commitment was disintegrating in real time, broadcast to hundreds of thousands of people. "Perhaps," Dr. Carter suggested with deadly calm, "we should move this conversation somewhere more private." But it was too late for privacy. The damage was done, recorded, and spreading across social media platforms faster than any crisis management team could contain. Marcus Wellington III had just publicly humiliated the woman who held veto power over his foundation's biggest donation. The irony was so complete, it felt like divine intervention. Dr. Singh finally spoke, her voice carrying the quiet authority that had earned her respect in operating rooms around the world. "Mr. Wellington," she said, I think we need to discuss Monday's board meeting. Dr. Singh reached into her surgical bag with the same precise movements she used when selecting instruments during brain surgery. Every gesture was deliberate, controlled, calculated. Marcus Wellington III watched her hands like a man witnessing his own execution. She withdrew a laptop, opened it with surgical precision, and connected to the hotel's guest Wi-Fi. The screen came alive with the hospital board's secure portal. "Ladies and gentlemen," Dr. Singh announced, her voice carrying across the now silent ballroom, "I'd like to share Monday's board agenda." She turned the laptop toward the crowd. On the screen, clearly visible to the hundreds of phones recording from every angle, was the agenda for the emergency board meeting scheduled for 9 o'clock a.m. Item number 1, Wellington Foundation Partnership. 4.2b, Commitment Review. Item number 2, Board Vote. Character Clause. Activation Protocol. Item number 3, Alternative Funding Assessment. Peterson Foundation Proposal. Marcus's legs seemed to give out. He gripped a nearby cocktail table for support. "The Wellington Foundation's commitment," Dr. Singh explained to the mesmerized crowd, "is governed by our standard philanthropic partnership agreement. Section 847C specifically addresses moral turpitude and public discrimination as grounds for contract nullification." Her voice remained steady, professional, almost clinical. She could have been explaining a surgical procedure to medical students. Patricia Wellington made a small, wounded sound. She understood contracts. Their family foundation's entire reputation hung on this single commitment. "The character clause," Dr. Singh continued, "requires unanimous board approval to activate. However, as chief of neurosurgery and board member, I can call for an emergency review based on documented behavioral incidents." She gestured toward the hundreds of recording devices surrounding them. "I believe tonight's events qualify as adequate documentation." The live stream audience had exploded past 500,000 viewers. #CharityGalaShame was trending in 12 countries. Local news stations were broadcasting live updates. Marcus found his voice, though it came out as a croak. "You can't. This is blackmail." Dr. Singh's expression didn't change. "This is accountability, Mr. Wellington. Your foundation approached our hospital seeking partnership. Partnerships require mutual respect." Dr. Elizabeth Carter stepped forward, her silver hair catching the chandelier light. As CEO, she commanded the room's attention effortlessly. "The Wellington Foundation commitment represents our largest single donation," Dr. Carter explained to the crowd. "However, it's not our only option." She nodded toward Dr. Singh, who opened another file on her laptop. "The Peterson Foundation has offered $3.1 billion over the same 5-year period," Dr. Singh announced. "Their proposal includes diversity requirements and community oversight. No character clauses necessary." The crowd gasped audibly. Marcus's face went completely white. $3.1 billion is less than 4.2, Marcus stammered, grasping for leverage. "Money without dignity," Dr. Singh replied calmly, "is worthless to us." She closed the laptop and looked directly at Marcus. Her eyes held the same focused intensity she brought to the operating room when a patient's life hung in the balance. "Mr. Wellington, your foundation has spent 18 months courting our partnership. Your team has presented detailed plans for the children's wing expansion. Your architects have designed specialized surgical suites. Your marketing department has prepared press releases announcing the largest charitable commitment in your family's history." Marcus nodded weakly, not understanding where she was leading. "All of that work," Dr. Singh continued, "depends on Monday's board vote." The mathematical brutality of the situation began crystallizing for everyone present. Marcus had just sabotaged his own foundation's signature project in front of 500,000 witnesses. Patricia Wellington approached her husband, her face streaked with tears. "Marcus, you need to apologize. Right now." But Dr. Singh raised her hand gently. "Mrs. Wellington, an apology won't change what happened here tonight. The board will review tonight's events regardless." She turned back to Marcus. "However, the board's decision-making process can be influenced by demonstrated commitment to systemic change. Marcus looked confused. What kind of commitment? Dr. Singh's laptop remained closed, but her next words carried the weight of a legal document. The Wellington Foundation would need to implement immediate reforms, mandatory bias training for all executives, a diversity mandate requiring 40% women and minorities on your board, an additional $500,000 specifically designated for anti-discrimination programming. The crowd listened in rapt attention. This wasn't just a confrontation anymore. It was a negotiation conducted in front of the largest audience any of them had ever seen. And, Dr. Singh added quietly, leadership transition. Someone with judgment this poor shouldn't be making decisions about children's health care. Marcus's mouth fell open. You're asking me to step down from my own family foundation? I'm not asking anything, Dr. Singh replied. I'm explaining what the board will likely require to maintain our partnership. The silence stretched for what felt like hours. Marcus looked around the ballroom desperately, seeking support that didn't exist. Every face showed either shock, disappointment, or barely contained anger. Patricia Wellington broke the silence. We'll do it, she said firmly. Marcus spun toward his wife. Patricia, you can't. I can and I will, she interrupted. I'm vice chair of the foundation board. I have voting power too. She turned to address Dr. Singh directly. Dr. Singh, I apologize for my husband's behavior. It's inexcusable and doesn't represent our family's values. Dr. Singh nodded acknowledgement but didn't smile. Mrs. Wellington, institutional change requires more than apologies. It requires structural reform. The live stream audience watched in fascination as one of America's wealthiest families imploded in real time. Commentary poured across social media platforms, legal experts analyzing contract law, medical professionals sharing their own discrimination stories, activists calling for boycotts of Wellington-affiliated businesses. Marcus realized he was trapped in a perfect storm of his own making. Refuse the terms and lose the foundation's most important commitment while being remembered forever as the billionaire who humiliated a brain surgeon. Accept the terms and watch his control over the family foundation evaporate. The board meets Monday at 9 a.m., Dr. Singh reminded him. You have 60 hours to decide whether your foundation values charity or ego more highly. She packed her laptop with the same methodical precision she'd used to retrieve it. Every movement telegraphed absolute confidence in the outcome. Marcus made one final desperate attempt to regain control. This is extortion. I'll have my lawyers, your lawyers, Dr. Singh interrupted, will advise you that character clauses are standard in high-value philanthropic partnerships. They'll also explain that your behavior tonight was recorded by hundreds of witnesses and broadcast to over 500,000 people. She gestured toward the crowd of phones, still recording every word. They'll probably recommend exactly what I'm suggesting. Immediate damage control through systemic reform, Dr. Elizabeth Carter stepped forward again. Mr. Wellington, Dr. Singh has been exceedingly gracious. A lesser person might have called security to remove you for harassing hospital staff. The reversal was complete. Marcus Wellington III, who had entered the evening as the hero philanthropist, was now being threatened with removal from his own charity gala. The live stream count hit 750,000 viewers. #CharityGala. Shame dominated trending topics across every major platform. News helicopters circled overhead, their searchlights visible through the ballroom's tall windows. Dr. Singh looked at her watch one final time, 10:59 p.m. The gala was officially ending, but the real consequences were just beginning. 60 hours, Mr. Wellington, she said quietly. I suggest you use them wisely. The Plaza Hotel's private conference room felt like a courtroom at midnight. Marcus Wellington III sat across from Dr. Singh, separated by 12 feet of polished mahogany and $4.2 billion in damaged credibility. Patricia Wellington had summoned the Foundation's emergency response team within minutes of the ballroom confrontation. Corporate lawyers joined via video conference from 3 time zones. The Foundation's board members appeared on screen from their homes, hastily awakened and briefed on the crisis. Dr. Elizabeth Carter represented the hospital's interests, flanked by their legal counsel, David Rothstein. The man had 30 years of experience in medical philanthropy law and the demeanor of someone who'd seen every possible variation of donor misbehavior. The live stream had officially ended, but social media continued exploding. Charity Gala. Shame had generated over 2 million posts in 90 minutes. News outlets were running breaking coverage with headlines like, "Billionaire's racist rant costs children's hospital," and "Brain surgeon destroys wealthy donor's career." Marcus looked haggard. His formal tuxedo was rumpled, his bow tie hanging loose around his neck. The confident philanthropist from 2 hours earlier had been replaced by a man facing the complete destruction of his public legacy. "Let's review the facts," David Rothstein began, his voice carrying the authority of someone who'd drafted hundreds of similar contracts. The Wellington Foundation Partnership Agreement, signed preliminary pending final board approval, contains standard character and moral conduct clauses. He displayed the relevant contract section on the room's main screen. Section 847C, Character Standards. Partnership agreements may be terminated immediately upon evidence of discrimination, harassment, or conduct inconsistent with the hospital's commitment to dignity and equal treatment. Termination requires majority board vote following documented incident review. Marcus's lawyer, Jennifer Walsh, appeared on screen from her Manhattan office. She looked exhausted but professional. "The clause language is standard, but the interpretation could be challenged. Inconsistent conduct is subjective terminology." Subjective? Dr. Singh spoke for the first time since entering the conference room. Her voice carried the same surgical precision that had commanded the ballroom. "Mr. Wellington publicly refused to shake my hand, questioned my right to attend an event I was specifically invited to, and suggested I learn my place. All documented by hundreds of witnesses and broadcast to 750,000 people." She opened her laptop and displayed the social media analytics in real time. The numbers were staggering. 2.3 million Charity Gala shame posts, 4.7 million video views, coverage in 127 countries. "The Foundation's reputation is permanently linked to this incident," Dr. Singh continued. "Our hospital board must consider whether partnership with Wellington Foundation advances or undermines our mission to serve all children with equal dignity." Patricia Wellington leaned forward. She'd been silent during the legal review, but her expression showed steel beneath the elegant surface. "Dr. Singh, what would it take for the hospital board to proceed with our partnership?" The question hung in the air like a surgical blade waiting to cut. Everyone understood that Patricia was essentially asking, what will it cost to save the Foundation from complete humiliation? Dr. Singh consulted notes she'd prepared during the elevator ride to this conference room. Her surgical training had taught her that successful procedures require detailed planning and flawless execution. First, immediate leadership transition. Marcus steps down as a Foundation chairman within 48 hours. The board selects replacement leadership committed to equity and inclusion. Marcus started to object, but Patricia silenced him with a look. Second, structural reform. The Foundation board implements a diversity mandate. Minimum 40% women and minorities within 6 months. All executives complete comprehensive bias training within 90 days. Jennifer Walsh's voice crackled through the video connection. "Those requirements could face legal challenge under corporate governance law." "Then challenge them," Dr. Singh replied calmly. "The alternative is complete contract termination and partnership with Peterson Foundation, whose $3.1 billion offer includes even stronger diversity requirements." The room absorbed this information. Marcus had spent 2 years convincing his board that the Children's Hospital Partnership would define the Wellington Foundation's legacy. Losing it would be catastrophic. Third, Dr. Singh continued, financial accountability. An additional $500,000 designated specifically for anti-discrimination programming, hospital staff training, community outreach, bias reporting systems. Dr. Carter nodded approvingly. Those programs would benefit all our partnerships, not just Wellington Foundation. Fourth, transparency measures, annual diversity reporting, public accountability metrics, community oversight of foundation grants and partnerships. Marcus finally found his voice. You're asking us to completely restructure our foundation based on one incident. Dr. Singh turned to face him directly. Her eyes held the same focused intensity that had guided her through thousands of surgical procedures. Mr. Wellington, one incident reveals character. Tonight demonstrated that your foundation's leadership lacks the judgment necessary to oversee children's healthcare initiatives. She gestured toward the screens showing continued social media explosion. Your behavior wasn't a momentary lapse. It was a public revelation of deep-seated bias that calls into question every decision you've made as Foundation chairman. The Foundation's board members were visible on video conference, their faces showing varying degrees of shock and concern. Board member Margaret Chen spoke first. Dr. Singh, if we implement these changes, would the hospital board proceed with the partnership? Implementation isn't enough, Dr. Singh replied. We need demonstrated commitment. 90-day probationary period with monthly progress reviews, hospital representatives on Foundation Diversity Committee, binding arbitration for future disputes. Marcus looked around the room desperately. This is extortion. You're using social media pressure to force contract modification. David Rothstein leaned back in his chair. Mr. Wellington, extortion involves illegal demands. Dr. Singh is describing standard accountability measures for philanthropic partnerships. He displayed another contract section on screen, Section 923A, Partnership Modification. Terms may be modified by mutual agreement to address changed circumstances, reputation concerns, or operational requirements. Modifications require documentation of triggering events and board approval from both parties. Tonight's incident clearly qualifies as changed circumstances, Rothstein continued. The hospital has legitimate reputation concerns about partnership with Foundation leadership that publicly discriminates against hospital staff. Patricia Wellington looked at her husband with a mixture of love and disappointment. Their marriage had survived 30 years, but tonight felt different. The man she'd married wouldn't have behaved so cruelly. Marcus, she said quietly, we can fight this and lose everything, or we can learn from it and build something better. The Foundation board members conferred via private chat, their faces serious as they weighed options. Margaret Chen spoke for the group. Dr. Singh, we're prepared to implement your requirements. Marcus will transition out of leadership immediately. I'll assume interim chairmanship pending board restructuring. Marcus's face crumpled. The Foundation his grandfather had established, that his father had expanded, that he'd planned to pass to his own children, was slipping from his control. But the mathematics were inexorable. Fight the hospital's demands and lose the $4.2 billion commitment, face ongoing media scrutiny, and watch other philanthropic partners distance themselves. Accept the terms and salvage the Foundation's mission while admitting personal failure. The board votes Monday at 9 a.m., Dr. Singh reminded them. We'll need documented progress on all requirements by then. She closed her laptop with surgical finality. Gentlemen, ladies, tonight proved that money without character is worthless. I hope your Foundation chooses differently going forward. As she stood to leave, Marcus made one final attempt at salvaging his dignity. Dr. Singh, I want you to know that tonight, I wasn't myself. The stress of the event, the pressure. Dr. Singh paused at the conference room door. When she turned back, her expression held the compassion she reserved for families receiving difficult medical news. Mr. Wellington, tonight you were exactly yourself. The question now is whether you're willing to become someone better. 47 hours after the charity gala disaster, Marcus Wellington III stood before news cameras outside the Wellington Foundation headquarters. His resignation letter had been hand-delivered to board members that morning. Patricia Wellington stood beside him, her presence offering support despite the pain in her eyes. "I take full responsibility for my inexcusable behavior," Marcus read from prepared remarks. His voice carried none of the arrogant confidence that had characterized his gala performance. Dr. Amara Singh deserved respect, not humiliation. Our foundation failed its basic mission of human dignity. The press conference was broadcast live across major networks. Social media response was mixed. Some praised his accountability, others questioned the sincerity of forced contrition. Inside the children's hospital, Dr. Singh watched the coverage between surgical consultations. The 8-year-old patient from that fateful Thursday was recovering beautifully, her language function intact after the tumor removal. Dr. Elizabeth Carter joined her in the break room. "Marcus looks broken," she observed. "Broken can be rebuilt," Dr. Singh replied. "Narcissistic rarely can." The hospital board had voted unanimously that morning to proceed with the modified Wellington Foundation partnership. Margaret Chen's interim leadership had already begun implementing diversity requirements. 3 new board members had been recruited: a civil rights attorney, a community organizer, and a pediatric nurse who'd grown up in the same neighborhoods the foundation claimed to serve. The $500,000 discrimination fund was established within 24 hours. Dr. Singh had been appointed to oversee its deployment, focusing on bias training for medical staff and community education programs. More importantly, the Singh protocols were already spreading beyond their hospital. 7 other medical institutions had contacted Dr. Carter about implementing similar character accountability measures in their donor agreements. Marcus's personal reckoning proved more complex than corporate restructuring. Patricia had insisted on marriage counseling, their first sessions focusing on the privilege blindness that had enabled Thursday's cruelty. "I didn't see her as a doctor because I didn't want to see her as an equal," Marcus admitted during their 3rd counseling session. The words cost him everything and saved him simultaneously. His therapist, Dr. James Rivera, specialized in treating wealthy individuals forced to confront their own biases. Recognition is the first step. Reconstruction takes much longer. Marcus began diversity consulting work, unpaid initially, sharing his story at corporate training sessions. The appearances were humiliating but necessary. Each presentation began with video footage from the gala, followed by his acknowledgement of failure. "I destroyed my reputation and nearly cost children's health care funding because I couldn't see past my own prejudice," became his standard opening. The honesty was brutal and effective. The foundation's transformation exceeded everyone's expectations. Under Margaret Chen's leadership, grant approvals increased by 30% while maintaining fiscal responsibility. Community oversight committees ensured funding reached intended recipients. Patricia Wellington emerged as an unexpected champion of systemic change. Her position on the hospital board provided perspective Marcus had never possessed. She understood healthcare challenges from the patient family side, having spent countless hours in waiting rooms during her mother's cancer treatment. "Privilege isolated us from the people we claimed to help," she explained during a foundation retreat. "We gave money, but never gave respect." The Wellington Foundation's reputation, initially devastated by Marcus's behavior, began recovering through demonstrated commitment to equity. Other wealthy families sought their guidance on implementing similar reforms. Dr. Singh returned to her primary focus: saving children's lives through neurosurgery. But her platform had expanded dramatically. Medical schools invited her to speak about dignity in healthcare. She established the Professional Respect Initiative, training programs for medical staff on treating colleagues and patients equally, regardless of appearance or background. The 8-year-old patient whose surgery had caused Dr. Singh to arrive late at the gala made complete recovery. Her parents, recent immigrants who spoke limited English, wrote a letter to the foundation thanking them for supporting doctors who saw their daughter as precious rather than burdensome. Marcus read their letter during his first public appearance since resignation. He broke down crying while reading their words about Dr. Singh's compassionate care. "This doctor saved our daughter's life," the letter concluded. "She treated our family with more kindness than anyone had shown us since arriving in America. We are grateful the hospital protects doctors like her." The irony was profound. Marcus had attacked the very person whose skill and dedication justified his foundation's mission. 6 months later, the children's wing expansion broke ground ahead of schedule. The new surgical suites incorporated design input from diverse medical staff, including Dr. Singh's recommendations for equipment that accommodated surgeons of varying heights and builds. Marcus attended the groundbreaking ceremony as a private citizen, watching from the back of the crowd as Dr. Singh and Patricia Wellington spoke about the partnership's future. He'd lost control of his family foundation but gained something more valuable, the possibility of becoming a better human being. 2 years after the charity gala that changed everything, Dr. Amara Singh stood in the new children's surgical wing preparing for another complex brain tumor removal. The 8-year-old girl whose surgery had made her late to that fateful evening was now 10, thriving in school, and considering becoming a doctor herself. The Wellington Foundation partnership had exceeded all expectations. Under Patricia Wellington's co-leadership with Margaret Chen, the foundation had become a model for equitable philanthropy. Their diversity initiatives were studied at Harvard Business School. Their community oversight programs were replicated by foundations across the country. Marcus Wellington III had completed 2 years of intensive bias training and community service. He worked with formerly incarcerated individuals, teaching financial literacy in communities he'd previously ignored. The work was humbling, transformative, and largely anonymous. His marriage to Patricia had not only survived, but strengthened. Their counseling sessions had revealed how privilege had isolated them from genuine human connection. Confronting that isolation was painful but necessary. "I spent 60 years believing my wealth made me valuable," Marcus reflected during a rare interview. "Dr. Singh taught me that dignity isn't earned through bank accounts." The Singh Standard had revolutionized philanthropic partnerships nationwide. Character accountability clauses became industry standard. Foundations implementing diversity requirements received preferential consideration from major institutions. Dr. Singh's professional accomplishments continued expanding. She'd been elected to the American College of Surgeons Board of Governors, focusing on equity in medical education. Her surgical innovations had been adopted internationally, but she remained most proud of the 8-year-old patients whose lives she saved daily. The Children's Hospital had become a beacon for inclusive excellence. Medical students from underrepresented backgrounds competed for residency positions there. The institution's reputation attracted top talent who valued both clinical excellence and social justice. Social media had largely moved on to other stories, but the foundational changes remained permanent. Touching stories like this one joined countless other real-life stories proving that dignity matters more than dollars. These life stories remind us that courage comes in many forms, and sometimes the most powerful response to discrimination is quiet persistence rather than loud anger. The viral video from that night was now used in medical schools and business programs as a case study in crisis management and moral courage. Students analyzed Dr. Singh's tactical precision in confronting bias while maintaining professional standards. The lesson was clear. Systemic change requires both individual courage and institutional commitment. Dr. Singh had transformed a moment of personal humiliation into a catalyst for widespread reform. Her surgical precision in handling both medical procedures and social injustice demonstrated that technical skill and moral leadership could coexist powerfully. The ripple effects continued expanding. 3 universities had established Singh Fellowships for medical students from underrepresented backgrounds. The Peterson Foundation, whose competing offer had provided crucial leverage during negotiations, became a key partner in expanding these educational opportunities. Most significantly, the incident had sparked conversations in boardrooms and medical institutions worldwide. The phrase, "Would this pass the Singh test?" became shorthand for evaluating whether policies and behaviors met basic dignity standards. Marcus's children, initially ashamed of their father's behavior, gradually developed respect for his commitment to personal change. His son joined the foundation's Community Oversight Committee. His daughter began medical school, inspired by Dr. Singh's example of combining professional excellence with social justice. The annual charity gala continued, but with dramatically different protocols. Community representatives served on planning committees. Staff members were recognized alongside donors. The event celebrated collaboration rather than hierarchy. Dr. Singh attended each year, not as a curiosity or symbol, but as the chief of neurosurgery whose expertise had made the foundation's children's wing possible. She typically spent gala evenings discussing surgical innovations with fellow physicians rather than courting wealthy donors. Patricia Wellington often remarked that losing control of their foundation had been the best thing that ever happened to their family. "We thought we were philanthropists," she said. "We were just wealthy people giving away money without understanding its impact." The black stories and touching stories that emerged from this incident became part of a larger narrative about institutional change. Dr. Singh's quiet strength had demonstrated that real-life stories of discrimination could become catalysts for systematic reform rather than just individual trauma. Your voice matters in this conversation. Have you witnessed moments when someone's dignity was challenged in professional settings? How did you respond, or how do you wish you had responded? Share this story if it resonated with you. These conversations about respect and accountability need to reach everyone who has power to create change in their own institutions. Subscribe for more stories about individuals who chose courage over comfort and transformed systems through persistent dignity rather than aggressive confrontation. Comment below with your own experiences or the changes you've implemented in your workplace or community. Real transformation happens when we all commit to building more equitable institutions, one interaction at a time.